Hello, everyone. Welcome to Prevail's Compliance Corner. I'm Orly.
And I'm Noelle.
And we are the Prevail Compliance Corner team. I head up marketing here at Prevail, but it's really Noelle who has the cool job because she leads compliance. Why don't you just tell people what it is that you do and your qualifications?
Sure. So in a very, very small nutshell, I spent a long time doing program management with the DOD. So I have a real understanding of everything that entails. And I also have created SSPs and had to go through the CMMC rigmarole, if you will, with a small company. And here at Prevail, I manage our internal as well as our external compliance, helping our customers answer, questions and that sort of thing, kind of guide them in the right direction.
So that is a perfect lead into why we're talking, what you bring to today's conversation, because today we're going to talk about how a small defense company, defense contractor that Prevail helped, was able to achieve the maximum of 110 out of 110 score on a NIST audit by the DOD. Okay, let me just say that again so it kind of sinks in. Prevail was able to get a small defense contractor to the maximum score of 110 out of 110 on a NIST audit by the Department of Defense. That's like huge, mind-blowing, right? Call the press, bring out the gray lady, change the headlines on the New York Times. I mean, that is a significant thing. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And Noelle is the perfect person to talk to about this because she's deep in the weeds with compliance and knows kind of what it means for a company to have to achieve that. So why don't we just start off by telling a little bit about the story? I'll talk a little bit about what this company did, and then Noelle will pick up. So, this is a small to medium defense contractor in the Southeast. We can't really give too many specifics because it's not classified, but that's like secret information. But they are a small defense contractor facing the challenges of handling controlled unclassified information. And they know that because they handle CUI, they have to meet the 110 requirements of NIST 800-171 and soon to be CMMC 2.0. And they know that that's a challenge. So, they're concerned about cost. Everyone says this is going to be a costly endeavor. They're worried about the complexity. They're worried about how they're going to meet compliance, and they're worried about the timetable, right? They are a business, and they want to just get and ensure that they have the ability to meet compliance so they can go on with the rest of their business. Why don't you pick it up there, Noelle, though, and talk a little bit about what these concerns really meant?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that most companies right now, especially small to mediums that are in the DIB, in the defense industry base, it's very costly on a lot of different levels. It's very complex and it takes a whole lot of time and effort. So
Right.
Its cost is actual money, right? It can be very expensive to get the different tools and getting consulting assistance, and maybe you need to get an MSP or a CSP, or what have you. There's a lot of different technological and consulting related financial type cost, as well as time cost. How long is it going to take you to get everything together? Just because you get a consultant or you get Prevail, for example, that's not everything. That's only two pieces of the puzzle right there. The third piece is for you internally to be able to actually get all this together.
Right.
Write all
and
the
we should add like a caveat emptor, on the bottom of the little video here, it should say, no one solution will get you there. And anyone who tells you that is selling you snake oil.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. Absolutely true. Nobody can get you 100% of the way there. There's no one who can do that. We, like, for example, Prevail, we can help immensely, just like, a lot of other solutions can as well, but we definitely we can't make up for you actually putting the effort in. And then there's the complexity of it. You have to understand all those 110 controls, which is not an easy thing for most people. Most people who are out there in the DIB are just, doing their work day to day, getting their contracts, fulfilled, making sure that the customer is happy, dealing with a million different things. They don't want to have to sit there and become somebody like me who dives into 110 controls and, knows them inside and out. So there's a lot of different factors to consider with it. So it's a huge achievement for this company to have done this. Definitely.
So I think the next thing to really talk about is kind of realizing the challenge. Okay, what were the steps that they took in order to achieve those? And what is the path this company took to get started with compliance and move forward?
It's a path that I think a lot of different members of the DIB are starting to realize is a good one. I think when the CMMC kind of came out, everybody sort of just freaked out and thought, okay, I have to do this all by myself. That's just not true. You don't. There are so many solutions out there. And really, I think one of the best, like, sort of like the trifecta, if you will, of, you know, the best balance is to
Right.
have somebody internally who can, you know, sort of spearhead things and keep everything running and manage it, and, you know, who does at least understand slightly some of these things, and then and make sure that that effort is done internally. And then
Right.
you've got somebody who's a technological solution like Prevail, where, you know, we can help with keeping that CUI safe, making
Let
sure
me
that
just ask a quick question there, Noel. You know, you talked about someone internally. Does that need to be someone who's like as competent as you and has your level of background, or can it just be someone who says, I'm going to take on this role?
that's a really good question. I don't think it at all has to be somebody like me. I mean, I started out as the person who was like, I have no idea what CMMC is. What is all this stuff? So I think that if you can find somebody who has a real, like, go get 'em kind of attitude and wants to sort of dive into this stuff, that's the most important thing. Somebody who's
Right.
really going to take it on and take that responsibility and really take it to heart. That's an excellent question. Yeah, I don't think you need to have somebody at all who knows the kind of stuff that I. If you do have somebody like me, that's fantastic. You know, that's great, but you don't have to have that. And then again, if you have a technological partner like Prevail, there's a little bit of extra help there as well, because, like, you know, you know, all our Prevail customers, you know, can shoot me questions and ask me quick, hey, you know, I'm not really sure about this, or can you give me a little bit of help on that? And, you know, I'm happy to do that. And then on top of that, there's that sort of consulting side of it too. That's that third piece of the trifecta. You know, we have a whole network of different, you know, consultants that we work with. You know, we have so many partners with Prevail. And I think it's really important to not ever think that you know everything, and
Right.
to have somebody else come in and say, you know, maybe you're looking at this a little bit wrong, or because we're all guilty of bias, right? With
Right.
ourselves, like, oh, I'm doing everything perfect, everything's great. It's important to have somebody come in to make sure to give you sort of that, like, gut check of, like, oh, okay, well, this is maybe not 100%. And then on
And
top
that's
of
what this company did.
exactly. Yep, exactly. And I think that's exactly and it's obvious that it worked for them, right? I mean, they have the evidence. They got through the audit, everything was great, because they did find that balance of those three different pieces that I think are really essential to get there.
Right. And I think, you know, you're saying it exactly correctly. I'll just add the one thing here, that while we're kind of defining it in terms of this trifecta, we do realize that no one part of that trifecta is easy. I think we'd be accused of gross negligence if we said that.
Definitely.
And we realize that each one of those does take time and effort, but that's kind of the way you should think about it. You know, I need a tool to protect my CUI. I need a system security plan that talks about the policies and procedures I'm using. And I'm going to need a partner to try and help me implement those two other pieces, the technology and the SSP, and guide me along the way. I think,
Absolutely.
though, what you talked about also kind of highlights the power of Prevail. And why don't you just talk to that for a moment?
Sure. So one of the things that's really great about Prevail is that you can have it first of all, you can have it installed in a matter of, like, what, less than an hour usually. And then on top of that, it's not changing anything you already have. If you have a 365 shop and you love 365 and
Which
it's
this company did, right? They were on
yep,
Microsoft 365.
you love 365 and it's the greatest thing, fantastic. Prevail is not going to affect that. It's going to be a bolt on. It's going to work with your business processes, not against them. You're not going to have to go out of your way to, you know, change everything that you do. I mean, I know that there are a lot of solutions out there that you can. It's very costly, and it can be very much of an investment in time and redoing your business processes, you know, to
Right.
sort of adjust. Prevail doesn't do that. So that's one of the biggest advantages I have always seen. And, you know, I definitely think that that's an important one to mention, that it is very easy to install. It's very easy to use, and it's not going to affect what you already have that already works. So that's a big
Right.
one. Yeah, definitely. And I also,
And
the other part is it's not super costly. There are a
right.
lot of costly options out there, and there are a lot of people who get told that they have to use a more costly option, and that's just not true. And we have evidence of that right here. That's what we're talking about.
Right. And the thing that I've always appreciated about Prevail, that I've liked about the solution, is that, you know, there are so many companies that are Microsoft Office shops, some that use the Google Workspace. But in either case, right, Prevail just is an overlay on top of it and allows you to continue working as you normally would. And you can continue to use your O365 environment. Prevail stops overlays right on top of that. And similar to Google Workspaces.
Exactly.
I think, though, what this highlights is kind of their, as we were talking about earlier, there are essentially 3 steps to compliance, realizing that no single aspect of that is easy. But I think it's important to highlight those as kind of like the takeaway that you learn from this important case study.
Definitely. You want to make sure that you have somebody internally who is going to be really excited, or at the very minimum, just, wanting to work on this and wanting to make sure to sort of take responsibility for it. And it could be more than one somebody, honestly. It doesn't have to just be one person. But I know that with most small companies, it's probably just going to be one person. And that one person may have other jobs to do as well. But as long as they're committed to it and can sort of help sort of wrangle everything together, because that's a really big piece of this, and making sure that that documentation gets done, making sure that all of those different 110 controls are actually met and can say, yes, I know that this has been done. That's a huge one. And again, not easy, certainly. On top of that, you want to have a technological solution that's going to make sure that your CUI is protected, as well as all those communications involving CUI. Somebody like Prevail, that's a very easy way to go. Like we were just talking about, that just bolts onto what you already have and doesn't change your current business processes very much, if at all. So that's the second part of it. And then the third part is to get some sort of consulting help from someone that, from a consulting firm that you trust, who, maybe is an RPO or a C3PAO and can say to you, okay, yeah, this is really great. You're doing these, 75 things really awesome, but these other 25 are like, not so good. You want to make sure that you have someone that you can trust. And, and like I mentioned before, we definitely have a huge network of those different types of RPOs and C3POs here at Prevail. And we're happy to, introduce those people to whoever we need to help out our customers.
Right. And I would just add, to the part of having someone internally who can help you, that kind of goes with the idea of having a system security plan, because an important part of that SSP is having a point person who Absolutely. Can kind of take on a lot of the roles, not necessarily every role of the SSP, but it's kind of like someone who's, I guess, the traffic director.
The wrangling of the cats, as they say in the DOD.
Yeah.
The cat wrangler, yes. But it really is, I say that in jest, but it really is true. Making sure that everybody knows that this is the person I talk to if I have questions, or if you're going to be working with a lot of different people internally in the organization. And it makes it so much easier if there's one point of contact, instead of, oh, everybody just good luck, just put some stuff in the SSP and we'll hope that it works. That's not necessarily the best way to do it.
Yeah, not necessarily a great way to get to compliance.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, so I think this is a really great story, right? To me, the highlights are that a small to medium defense company, which is the majority of defense contractors out there, can actually have a path in which to get to the promised land of achieving NIST 800-171 compliance. And there is a tested path. We're not just saying that this is something we think would be great. The Department of Defense has actually audited this company, gave them 110 out of 110. And so for companies that are out there looking to do the same thing, what would you tell them, Noelle?
The best thing you can do, and this is a tough one, is wade through the ones that are promising you a whole lot more than what they can actually give. I think that there's a lot of that out there, unfortunately. Like you said earlier, if somebody says to you that they can give you the moon and the stars, and here you go, compliance is going to be easy, and you just buy this one thing and it's going to be fine. Definitely take that with a huge grain of salt. I think that's a big thing. And then on top of that, find partners like Prevail, like, consulting companies that you trust to help you. You are not alone in this. There are many different resources that you can reach out to, and don't try to do it by yourself. It's not worth it. Believe me.
Right. I mean, to be clear there, right? Prevail would get you in touch with any of those consulting partners, and they can help you install Prevail to protect your CUI. And I think the other big thing that I would just say that is the takeaway from there is, shouldn't wait to get started. There is a path forward, and I hope this message and this stories gives you some sense of hope and some inspiration to get started.
Definitely.
All right. That is it.